Welcome to another episode of the PPSS Success Show. My name is Fong, and today we have an amazing guest. I've had the privilege of seeing this person speak live on stage, MC on stage, and every time she comes out, she brings this grace, this confidence, this finesse about her that people are so engaged and so excited every time she comes out. People cheer. So I'm very excited to have her here today, and I got lots of great questions for her because she comes from a really difficult background and has become a great success story. And people like that, I always love chatting to. She's world renowned, speaking around all over the world. And also, she's been helping a lot of people all around the world create more enriching lives, more influential lives, helping them become better communicators, having better relationships, and helping them really master that lost art of human connection. She is an expert in leadership, sales, marketing, human behavior, communication, and connection as well. She is the winner of the Global Coach of the Year award, author of the book From Ignored to Adored. So please welcome seven-figure coach, author, and one of the world's most exciting speakers out there, Ms. SHANI TAYLOR.
Fong, where is she? She sounds amazing. That was an incredible introduction.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Like I said, ever since I saw you on stage, you had this presence about you that I go, you know what? I need to get her on my show because she has this confidence, this ability to project, this ability to influence and impact. And people like that come very rarely. And like I said, very excited to have you here. And thank you very much for being here.
I am humbled and honored. Thank you for your beautiful words.
Well, thank you very much. So jumping right into it, people don't wake up one day and go, you know what, I'm going to be this seven-figure coach. I'm going to be this world-renowned speaker, somebody who's helping people really connect with other people. How did you get to where you are today? What's your origin story?
The origin story. Yeah, that's such a great point, isn't it? It's not like we just wake up one day and decide something. I think so often in business and in life, Fong, and you might agree, it's like everybody's looking for the one thing. What's that one thing? Give me the one magic secret, the one key to success, the one moment. And I don't think there's ever just one thing. It's the accumulation of many things over a period of time that build momentum and success, right? Um, so, you know, did I wake up one day and decide? Not really. But at the same time, I think I woke up one day and got so sick of my own BS that, and I think that's the thing about change, right? It's like you have to be so sick of your own rubbish to be able to push yourself to change. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, totally. It's one of those things. It's you wake up, you go, wait a minute, this is not where I want to be, or you know what, I'm not as happy as I thought I would be. What needs to change? What do I have to do differently? And then all of a sudden you start asking the right questions. No matter how much planning you did before, all of a
Yeah.
sudden you ask the right questions now, and it seems so common sense sometimes.
Yeah, and I love that what you say about you have to take action, and that's the thing. It's like we could you just said you can plan all day long, and I think planning is important, but I think that we can get so wrapped up in the process of planning that it becomes paralyzing. The process of planning becomes paralyzing, and I often say clarity comes in the doing, and at some point you just have to take the leap. I live my life by a quote by Richard Branson, which I absolutely love. And he basically says, when somebody offers you an opportunity, you say yes, and then you figure it out later. And because if we say no to an opportunity, the door closes, and then we never get to see all of the doors that would come after that. Because if you say no, you don't get asked again, you don't get offered again, you don't get seen as a person who is interested, you don't get seen as a person who is open, and there's no next time. All we've got is now. So no matter how small the opportunity is, I think you have to say yes and stop trying to kind of plan 15 moves ahead and allow yourself to be where you are. Take the leap, say the yes, take the action, do the work, and the next door opens, and the next door opens after that.
Now, unfortunately, sometimes that opportunity is not in the form of a question. Sometimes that opportunity comes and you have to recognize it as, hey, this is the point that I need to learn and the point in time where I have to make a change. What
Mm.
was that for you and what was the opportunity?
The yes opportunity that's coming to my mind as you ask that question is an opportunity about 5.5 years ago where I was completely broke and I was living week to week. I was actually studying full time because I was rehabilitating myself back into a sense of normality and society after experiencing significant PTSD. So I went to university and was studying, single mum with my son, no money, contracting. And, I had about $1,000 saved up in the bank, and that had taken me a very long time to even get that. And I knew that I did not want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life, but I had no idea what I was going to do. And I went to a networking event, as we often do, and a woman put an opportunity in front of me that was happening a couple of weeks later, which was basically an in-person coaching program that she was running for the day. And it was all around money mindset and, how to kind of start to strategically look at how to build some wealth. And for me, this was a big deal because I'd come from low socioeconomic. I didn't value myself. So therefore I didn't have money, and any money that I did get would come in and then seemingly slip through my fingers. So I had a lot of scarcity, a lot of money stories. And funnily enough, the coaching program was $1,000. It was all that I had in my savings.
Coincidentally.
Coincidentally, right? And but actually not so coincidentally, because I think if we use the law of equilibrium, right, which is that supply always equals demand. And so there was the supply of $1,000 that I had, created, and there was a demand for something. So it was a really hard decision for me to say yes to that coaching program because I felt like I was going to have nothing left, because essentially at that time I wasn't. It was all I'd saved up. So it was a lot to part with your entire savings. But I knew that I had to do something. And I'm so glad that I did that coaching program, because it was pretty much one of the first formal coaching experiences that I'd ever invested in. And I didn't even realize on that day just how significant that 1 day program was going to be, because of course, coaching compounds and it takes time to build the momentum from the things that you've learned sometimes. And it was only years later, when I looked back on what I'd done that day with her, that I realized that was the first door of opportunity that's opened up everything that's happened over the last 5-ish years.
Well, it's like, oh yeah, that's why she made me do this, and that's why she made me to think about that and read this book or ask that question.
And yeah, exactly. And I actually had a moment kind of in the middle of last year where I had that real reflection, and I went and found her on social media because I hadn't spoken to her since. And I let her know, and I shared that with her, because I think the other thing, being in business and being a mentor, we never fully know the true impact of the work that we have, whether you offer a service or a product. Like, you sell your product, you don't know how
Hmm.
the other person is changed and experiencing your product. Yes, your clients may come and tell you, hey, you saved me this amount of money, or you made me this amount of money, or you helped me in my relationship, but you never fully know the true impact. So I think it's important to take the time to share with people how they've changed your life and the impact that they've had.
As you were going through that journey, and making this big change in your life, taking this big risk in a lot of people's minds, was there anybody around you that were telling you, don't do that. Just save it, work harder, do this instead, something that's more tried, tested, and true. Was there anybody trying to hold you back?
Of course, it's such a great question, because I really want to paint a picture for you. At that point in my life, I had no money, and therefore that alone should tell you the type of network I had around me, because like attracts like.
Mm.
And we spend time with people that we typically feel we feel comfortable with, therefore they're at our level, right? So it was basically other broke people. Or you know, by the way, broke is a mindset before it's a bank balance. So the people that I had around me were not people that took risks and that were comfortable with growth. And so there were a lot of naysayers just in general, like, you know, what are you doing going to that cult? Because, you know, coaching gets called a cult so often. And why would you spend, you know, your entire savings? And so I liken it to crabs in a bucket. I don't know, Fong, if you've heard, you know, the analogy of crabs in the bucket. So like when we put actual real living crabs in a bucket, they're smart enough that they know that they need to create like a stack where they sit on top of each other to climb up to get to the top. But the minute that the one at the top is about to pull itself over the lip of the bucket, the rest of the crabs pull that crab down because they realize that if that crab gets out, they're stuck. And it is so like our life when we are leveling up and quantum leaping and making big changes and becoming more of who we're supposed to become. You are going to have people in your life that are scared that you're going to get out of the bucket and they're going to be left behind. And they're not, you know, this is not conscious, but so often we've got to fight that negativity, because if we don't fight for our dreams, no one else will.
That is awesome. Now, after that, you then went and started your own consulting, your own business, and within the first 30 days, you made 5 figures, and then within the first year, you made 6 figures. That's not a very common story for lots of people. People are still thinking about, okay, what's the service or the product that I could actually provide? What's that niche, or what's that need that people have that I could actually provide, and I'm actually good about providing it. But you went out and found that answer almost right away, and then able to skyrocket. So how did you find out what your specialty was so quickly, and then also be able to scale it so fast?
Yeah, this is a great question. So it actually wasn't, even though it looked like I figured it out really quickly, I didn't. I had spent a long time contracting while I was at uni, and because I got about halfway through my postgrad law degree, and I realized I didn't want to be a lawyer, but I finished my law degree. But so for about 18 months in my brain, I was trying to figure out what was I going to do. And I hadn't gotten help to figure that out. So I would just be going about my day in my head thinking, what's the thing? I know I'm meant for more. What can I go and do as my business? I don't know. And then I actually went out to somebody who I'd met at a coaching program previously, and I said, who should I get advice from? Is there a coaching program or something I can do that you know of to show me how to set up a business online? Because I knew I wanted an online business. And I think partly because I'd been sold the dream that we see on social media at the time, go sit on a beach and sip some cocktails, the laptop lifestyle. So I think I'd kind of thought that's what it was going to be like, right? And she said, go and do this coaching program. She gave me a name of a gentleman. I'd never heard of him before. I looked him up. He had a community of 20,000 people. I watched his webinar, which, by the way, that was like, you know, it feels old school to me to go to a webinar, like an actual pre-recorded webinar. It wasn't him live. And, you know, it was all the scare tactics of, here's the timer, buy now, like all that stuff, right? And that felt really, really uncomfortable. And then at this time, by then I'd saved back up the $1,000 and added another $1,000 to it. So I now had $2,000 in savings. His program, funnily enough, was $2,000. Right. So again, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to risk it all. But I'm glad I did, because I got some basic foundational strategies through doing his program, but I still hadn't worked out what was my niche and what was my offer. So, but by this stage, I'm in his 20,000 strong community, and I'd befriended a couple of people, and I asked them to help me. And I had some conversations because one of them was a coach, and I got him to help me. And it was only through getting that help and asking quality questions, like you mentioned, where I went, you know what? I'm just going to run with this one idea, and I'm going to take action, and I'll just see how it goes. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to stop overanalyzing and trying to come up with the perfect offer. I didn't create a sales page. I didn't create a website. I had nothing other than my social media profile and my ability to pick up the phone and create conversations with people. Yeah.
So where did this no fear attitude come from?
Yeah, I think two things. First of all, many years ago when I was a lot younger, my first real job, and I use that term loosely, but my first real job was a commission only door-to-door insurance sales job.
Wow.
All right. So if I didn't sell, I didn't eat. And I had to get people to let me into their home to sell to them. So, you know, that was such a great experience, because I think the reason people get paid handsomely in terms of selling is because you're getting paid in proportion for the amount of rejection that you can take. Because selling is not easy. And, you know, people kind of have these negative connotations around people trying to sell to them, but you won't be able to have your service or your life changed unless somebody learns how to sell to you. Because as human beings, we're so resistant. We don't always do what's the right thing for us, because if we did, McDonald's wouldn't exist, right? So we need salespeople who have who are doing it because they want to help you and genuinely want the best for you. And that's really where I learned that. And then I think the other thing is, you just get to a point, like we were saying earlier, at that point in my life, it was like, well, if I don't do this, I'm staring down the barrel of a 9 to 5. And that seemed soul crushing to me.
Wow.
So it's like, choose your hard. What do you want? Which one?
Either this difficult path or this difficult path, but this difficult path leads to something great, like much,
Right.
much.
Right. I mean, you know, haven't you ever had those times in your life where you're faced with two choices and they're both hard? So like you're gonna have to pick, right? How do you decide, Fong?
You just go through the motions and go, okay, if I go this way, what are pros and cons? Go this way, what's the pros and cons? Am I able to accept this one or this one? And
Yeah.
how long am I able to accept it for? And kind of decide, is that a waste of my time, or is it a good use of my time to actually pursue that one path kind of thing? And in the end, you just have to be able to be focused on what your end goal is. And your end goal was not to go back to 9 to 5, and therefore you stay focused on that, and you obviously succeeded with flying colors.
Yeah, and you know, and that's how it started out as well. I think a lot of people think that I think a lot of people get frozen and overwhelmed with big picture thinking. And if you're going to be successful, I think you need to be a visionary, but also be able to anchor in action and master the mundane of the daily things that need to get done that get you to that big picture. And, you know, I had a mentor who once said to me that something he found quite unique about me was that I'm able to hold a big vision, but at the same time, I'll roll up my sleeves, get my hands dirty, and just do the work like that you need to do every day. The work that you may not enjoy, but you know it has to be done if you want to create your success.
Exactly. It also keeps us grounded, keeps us
That's right.
kind of grounded and relatable to everybody else because you've done the work. You know what it takes. And when you're out there leading other people and guiding other people, you understand what they're going through because you've been there and you've done that, which is very, very important. Because there's so many times where people go, well, you don't have to do that. Well, no, that's not true. We've done that before.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I actually had a client say to me yesterday, and she's been with me for a couple of years. And even in the 2 years that she's been with me, she's seen massive growth, as many of my clients have. They will often say to me, who you were 3 months ago is not who you are now. Like you just grow, grow, grow. And also in terms of the people that you bring into our community, like it just keeps growing. But what she had said to me was that basically the point you just made, Fong, which is She said, you don't give me hope. It's not that I look at you and that I feel hopeful. It's that I see my path because I've seen you do the work and you keep doing the work and you keep doing the things that are hard, and you come back and you share the challenges and the mistakes and the wins. And then I'm able to actually see what it's going to take, because there is so much rubbish on the internet from so many people putting out the highlight reels, which, by the way, most of them don't even, that's not even their actual reality. And then, we watch this stuff and we think that that's how it's going to look. And I think this keeps people stuck as well, because they have a unrealistic expectation on the reality of life and business because of all the crap that's out there. Whereas I share it all. I share the wins, but I also am very honest about the challenges.
Yes. And that is one thing I find that's usually missing when it comes to stuff online. They don't tell you the hard stuff. They don't tell you how much time it's actually going to take. They don't tell you how much work it's going to be. They just go, oh, just do this, this, and this, and you're done. But then this, and that takes lots of either courage, lots of fear, and lots of confidence. And to do that, you need to gain all that stuff before you're able to do this, and that.
That's such a great point, because that's the other thing, right? People kind of, they register a business name, they get themselves a logo, and they go, okay, I'm ready for business. Yeah. And they don't realize that sometimes the work first is about who you've got to become before you have the ability to even execute on a strategy. And, I think a lot of the time people take the approach of, when I have, then I'll do and be, i.e., I've got to make some sales first before I invest in myself because I don't have the money. No, you have to do the investment in yourself in order to become the person that has the results that you want.
Exactly. And
Right?
when it comes to sports, everybody understands that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to business, people just go, ah, that's not how it goes. So.
I know, because people are, but I used to work in corporate America, so I know what being in business takes. No, you know what an employee has to do. You don't understand everything that goes on to run a business.
Exactly. Now, in a very short period of time, you went from starting your business to then writing a book to now becoming a world-renowned speaker. Was speaking on so many different world stages something that you've kind of aspired to do from a long time ago, or that just kind of dropped on your lap and you go, you know what? Yes, that's another opportunity I'm going to do.
Okay, great question. Because when I started my business, I actually wasn't thinking about anyone other than myself and my son, if I'm completely honest. I was just like, I don't want to go to a 9 to 5, so I'm going to start a business, and I just need to make enough money every single month that I don't have to go back to employment. That really was, and I look back on it, and I think it was just because I was in survival mode, right? And so when you're in survival mode, you're not necessarily thinking strategically or big vision, big picture. And it's been interesting because I think the vision has evolved as I've evolved. So I didn't start my business and go, I'm going to speak on world stages. In fact, when I started my business, I'd only ever been overseas once, and that was to Bali, which is closer for us in Australia to go to Bali than it is to the other side of Australia. Because so I feel like it doesn't even really count to say that I'd gone overseas, right? It's only been through the evolution where these opportunities have started to come, and then I've grown into the opportunities and become the person. So again, it's that you got to go do in order to be, then to have. And so really the speaking started because I started running my own online events, which, by the way, 2 people used to come to. Right. It's not like you put a free event out into the world and then your door is like being banged down with, hundreds of people. But I was like, I'm just going to do these events every single week, put on these free events. And through me creating my own opportunities to get better at speaking and delivering, then I became the person that got invited to speak on stages.
Oh, that is amazing. Was there something about speaking that you realized you had to maybe work a lot more on, like certain aspects of it?
I've never had any formal speaking training,
Mhm.
which a lot of people will say, you know, where do I learn how to be a speaker? Like, what did you train in? I'm like, well, I never really learned formally, but I did learn on the job, so to
Yeah.
speak. And I think the magic about speaking is that it is your opportunity to connect with the many rather than just the one.
Mhm. Now, throughout this entire process, I'm sure that there's a lot of failures, there's a lot of learning curves and all that kind of stuff. What would you say is the biggest learning curve that you've had to experience
Oh my
because of
goodness.
a certain incident or whatnot?
Okay, I love this. So the biggest, without a doubt, has been I had to learn really early on to be able to hold public criticism. And again, the more criticism you can hold, the bigger your business and the bigger your bank balance is going to become, because the bigger visibility, the more people seeing you. The law of averages is you're going to have more people who don't like you, who are triggered by you, even clients who you once served. And like, I've got messages from clients who say, like, sending me messages saying, thank you so much for changing my life. You've done what you've done for me and my business has been incredible. And then literally 7 days later, decide that they're going to leave my community and tell everybody that I'm a bully. I mean, right? So early on in my business journey, I got my first ever unhappy client who took to social media and said that I was a fraud. And it was probably about 4 or 5 months into business. But that was incredible because I realized very early on I had to get used to people saying bad stuff about me and get on with my day, because if I let one person's opinion stop me, then I was now drinking the poison but expecting them to die, as the saying goes, because then it was going to stop me building my business. So the more criticism you can hold, the bigger your bank balance is going to be. I mean, we see this with Donald Trump. Whether you love him or hate him is irrelevant. That man has 50% of the population that love him and 50% of the population that don't. And he just gets up and keeps going.
So what is your secret trick of doing that? It's one thing to say, you know what, it's not going to bother me, but it's another thing to kind of go, okay, it kind of hurts.
It does, yeah. So the way that I deal with it, if it's, say it's a client who I felt I had a close relationship with, and there is a sense of feeling hurt or betrayed, I give myself a few moments to really just sit with that feeling of hurt and betrayal. And then I look at it objectively, and every single time, and even if it's, so whether it's a client or a non-client, what I notice is every single time it's somebody criticizing me, it's somebody who is doing less than me. I've never had somebody who is doing more than me put me down or criticize me. The people that are doing more for me are the ones that are giving me a hand up and trying to help me. The people that go out and criticize me are the people that are doing less than, and they're triggered by my light, my success, my ability to be open and honest and actually not care about their opinions. So when you realize that it's the people doing less than you, I'm like, why would I waste a minute of my day spending time that's taking me away from making more money, serving more people, over somebody who's doing less than me? Their opinion is irrelevant.
So very true. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, is that it's a big misconception that successful people are actually there supporting each other, giving people suggestions and a handout and helping them like get to where they want to get to. Whereas the non-successful people are actually not as supportive, which is kind of mind-blowing if you think about it, because everybody should be supporting each other to get to a common goal. But that's
But
not
this is,
really
but
true.
this is right. But this is why those criticizers are in the hole and are less successful in the area, by the way, that they're criticizing you about. So there might be people making more money than me, but if they're criticizing me about the way that I present myself, that they probably look like crap. You know what I mean? Or somebody criticizing the way that I show up and build relationships, They may be successful in their health and their fitness, more successful than me, but they're triggered by my success in my ability to build a relationship. So the reason that they're less successful is because they're wasting their time and energy on the criticism, instead of, if they directed that energy into focusing on how to be better at the thing that they're judging you or me by, then they actually wouldn't have time to criticize.
And it's a much more effective use of their time too.
Totally.
You mentioned that your relationship building is one of your top-notch skills. What would you say is the keys to building great relationships? Because everybody's, yeah, relationships are easy. You just put time into it.
Yeah, but
What
it's
is
not.
what is the actual secret to becoming great at relationships?
So yesterday, my business manager ran some numbers in our business, and what we found, so I run a membership, and anybody in the mentoring space or subscription space will say to you, like, memberships and subscriptions are hard work because you have such a high churn rate, you have such a high drop-off rate, which is the very nature of membership and subscription-based products, right? My business manager ran numbers yesterday. So the average, the industry average churn rate is between 5 and 7%, meaning that most subscription and memberships will only retain between 5 and 7% of their customers.
Wow.
Our retention rate is 48%. Right?
Incredible.
It's incredible. And I put it down to our ability to be able to build and maintain strong relationships with our customer or our clients. And the way that I do that is, I think we look at relationships as transactions, and I don't even think we realize it a lot of the time. It's like, what can I get from this relationship? So when somebody's like in their business, if they're going to pick up the phone and make a call, they're coming from this place of, is this person going to buy from me? What can I get from this person, right? Or what relationship can this person introduce me to that's going to help me progress? It's always, what can I get? And instead of coming from a place of what can I get, we want to come from this frequency of what can I give? Because if you are a giver, you just naturally get, because law of reciprocity is people want to give back to you because they feel that you have given to them. And also it just demonstrates a general care. So by the way, even in the relationship between you and a mentor, that's, as soon as you pay the mentor or you as the mentor get paid, that's the transaction. That's the bare minimum, right? But how can we give to our mentors above the transaction? And as mentors, how can we, or service product-based businesses, what extra value can we give to our client or our customer that goes above and beyond the transaction? And I think if we get into this habit of what can I give, rather than just thinking that there's a transaction here, that is going to help you have really long-term successful relationships.
Do you have a certain case or story that you could share where you went above and beyond for one of your clients?
I mean, I think I do that naturally. So an example would be recently in December, I flew over to America to attend a Will Ferrell charity thing that he had put on, and I had the opportunity to meet with Will and have a conversation. And a woman there who organized the event for him, I just naturally got along with her. There was just like this, natural resonance where we became friends. But through that conversation on that particular evening, she highlighted that she'd gone and changed her shoes, and she'd changed from heels into like gym shoes, runners, right?
Yep.
And so we just got to talking about her shoes, and then I said, one of my clients actually makes shoes that are like sneakers but with a heel. They're called kicks.
Yeah.
And I would love to send you a pair so that next time you're at an event like this, if you need to change your shoes, you can still change into sneakers, but they've still got a heel and they're a bit funky. And because they're super comfortable, they still feel like you're wearing a flat shoe, right? And she was so appreciative, and we did that. But I also saw, so I was giving her value to send her a pair of shoes. And I also saw that there was an opportunity here for my client who had told me she had a goal to break into the American market, because this client's in Australia. And it was like, well, here's your opportunity to get the ball rolling. And so we sent the shoes. This woman has since done reels and is promoting my client's shoes now in the American market. And so, I think that's an example of where, and, so now they're building the relationship and all sorts of stuff. So I think that's an example for sure.
Awesome. Win-win-win for everybody. You build better
Exactly.
relationships, people get more connections, and people are succeeding and whatnot. So that is a great example there. Something else that you're really good at is helping people master the lost art of human behaviors. And why is it a lost art? What have you been noticing, especially in this day and age, that when it comes to connections, building relationships, human behavior, that's completely lost to the common folk?
Yeah, the lost art of human connection for me, I think I call it a lost art, because I think with all of the technology advances that we've had in the last 20 years, people feel really uncomfortable when it comes to just being able to connect with another human being, especially online. And I think we get this whole stranger danger thing come up. Like, when we were kids, we were saying, don't talk to strangers and don't get in the car with strangers, and strangers are dangerous, right? And so I think we bring and project a lot of that stranger danger stuff onto online now. But the truth is that, Fong, social media is the way of the world. And even if you don't like social media, too bad, your future clients are on social media. So you have to learn to love it, and you have to learn how to connect. And I call it a lost art because we've got people now using social media to spam, to talk about themselves, and a lot of the time they don't even realize it. And if you could create content or create relationships on social media by connecting with your future consumer, by sharing content that they care about instead of what you want to talk about. Too many people are using social media as their dear diary. And it's like, go buy a diary and talk to your diary about what you want to talk about. Social media is for connecting with your future consumer. And that means putting messaging and content in front of them that creates conversations, rather than just speaking at people and going, this is what I want to say today about how great my product or my service is.
Very, very well said. And lots of people are still kind of wary as to posting stuff online because of cancel culture, because of the feedback that comes back that's negative. What would you tell them to kind of focus on so that they don't they're not concerned about cancel culture?
Yeah, I think you need to focus on your own authenticity. And for me, if I get cancelled, that's feedback for me that isn't an opportunity that is aligned for me, and that they're aligned with me. So I think if you focus on your own authenticity, owning your message, owning who you are, owning how you want to show up, the purpose of social media and content more broadly, whether it's your emails, your posts, how you present yourself at an event, the purpose of content is twofold. It's actually to attract the right opportunities and repel the people that are not right for you. And we're so worried about repelling people, but it's actually effective, because then you don't waste time on people that are never going to buy from you or work with you or do business deals with you.
Exactly. One of my coaches actually said the same thing. He goes, "Don't worry about all those people who don't listen to you. That's not your target market. So focus on the
That's
ones that
right.
are listening." So that changed my
Exactly.
life.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Two more things I wanted to ask is, well, first of all, you do have your book out, something that you worked hard on, became very successful with your book. Share with us more about what that book is about and how do people get in touch with you for that book.
So the book really is, whether you're beginning on social media or you've been at it for a while, but you really feel like, you're ignored, meaning that you put messaging and content out there. Mum's your biggest fan. you get a handful of likes if you're lucky, and it's not converting to sales every time you post, then you need to read my book, because it really is about how do I find my buyers, not leads, right? This concept of go and fill up your pipeline with leads is, in my opinion, it's dead. Leads don't buy. Leads have your demographic fit, meaning that they have a certain income, a certain age bracket, but that doesn't tell you that they're going to buy. You need to find your buyers, and I talk about that in the book. And it's going to give you ways to connect with other humans on social media that also feel really good for you. So the book is there. And in terms of how people can reach me, I mean, I spend my time on Facebook. That's where I kind of hang out. I'm also on Instagram if you find me there, and it's just Shani Taylor with the blue tick.
Awesome. Now you're back on the world stage.
I
What's
am.
one last message that you want to share everybody to for people to remember you for?
I think this year the message, Fong, really is about making sure that people find buyers, not leads. And that's really what we're focusing on this year. There is a huge difference between a lead and a buyer. It's something that I teach in great detail. So if you want to have a business that grows rapidly, like 5 figures in 30 days, over 350,000 in our first year, and we hit 7 figures by our second year. How I've done it is that I know how to find my buyers rapidly. I don't waste my time connecting with leads, and that's what I teach people to do, and that's what we need to do if we want to get there quicker.
That is awesome. Those numbers still blow me away. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that. Very, very incredible. Before I let you go, I got five quick rapid fire questions. Give me the first thing
Oh
comes to
God.
mind. All right. You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence.
Watermelon.
Woo. Fruit. People who say fruit are usually healthy. Uh, Hollywood calls and goes, "Hey, Shani, we love your story. Very, very inspirational, very, very motivational. We would love to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?"
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts shows up at your door and go, "Hey, I got cast to play you. Let's have some fun. Let's hang out." And you go, "Hey, Julia, I got the whole night planned out. What does that night look like?"
Oh my God, we're sitting on the couch with cups of tea and just having incredible conversation that opens our hearts and our minds.
Nice. Now she's hungry. You go, "Hey, no problem. Give me a few moments. I got something already prepared for you. What's that special dish that you're prepared for Julia Roberts?"
Well, I don't cook, so I would have already organized my private chef, who is a Michelin star chef. I would have had him around to make us incredible food.
Awesome. You're on a road trip, hours on end, one song that you don't mind listening to over and over and over again.
John Mayer, Your Body is a Wonderland.
Nice choice. Last question. Give me a number from 1 to 5.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the word is coffee mug. If you had to use the word coffee mug as a metaphor for success, how is success like a coffee mug?
Wow, these are great, Fong. So success is like a coffee mug in that the more that you fill it up, the more energized you become.
Nicely done. And I got a feeling you drink a lot of coffee to be this energetic and this positive. So that's awesome.
I love that. Fong, you are exceptional. I've so enjoyed today. You ask incredible quality questions, and I just want to thank you for having me and taking the time. It is such a pleasure, and it's just so great to sit down and actually chat with you.
Well, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in person, probably at the next big event, and can't wait to see you live on stage again.
Awesome. Thanks, Fong.
Awesome. So everybody out there, make sure you connect with Shani. Lots of great content on her website, and pick up her book. You're gonna learn a great deal of content from her. Very energetic individual as well, and you're gonna learn a lot. So make sure you connect with Shani. And until next time, Shani, my name is Fong. Today is the day clock to peak potential. We'll see you later.